Black girls do love gigs, though. You know what I mean? Gigs. Black women love gigs. Could we just throw that out there? Black women love.
Bruv.
It's
the
hollow,
voice,
bro.
It's hollow.
It's just everything.
It's hollow. Black women love gigs.
Oh, that is
I wasn't going to talk about
that
this.
That is mad.
Did you follow? Did you see what was going on with
that? I didn't follow the thing fully, but I saw basically like the overall kind of but I never saw where it came from. How did it come out? Alright,
so what happened? A shout out to Zizi, because I actually messaged her to see if she would come in. She's been here before. Yeah. And in all honesty, I know that she's a Marmite character. Maybe a little, maybe not so much like myself, but a poet can be a Marmite character too. But she's a cool girl still, and I do check for Zizi. But what happened was, she's obviously got her platform, which I always knew that she would be good for doing. That was why I brought her time ago. But anyway, so she was in a part of her segment, she mentioned that bare artists go on a chicken shop like Amelia's. Her name's called Amelia. The chicken shop date, whatever. Like bare artists and that go there or whatnot. Yeah. And it would be nice to see artists support grassroots, black women platforms and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And she spoke a little bit about that, and her whole thing was a little bit about, supporting each other and whatnot. Then Giggs didn't love that. Yeah. So he took offense to it, and obviously he went on his his Instagram, and said some stuff, and he was getting vexed. Do you know what is funny about Giggs actually, which I find quite funny still, is that the way that he goes in and out of the switch into the smile, he's he
goes mad serious,
literally, in a sentence he goes from 0, 100, 0, 100, 0. It's mad. But anyway, so he said, he was basically saying, that's bollocks, basically. Man are out here doing stuff that we are supporting and whatnot. And I do think, I actually think that both of them had a point. Yeah, I do think that both of them had a point. I don't think that Zizi was entirely wrong in what she said. Yeah, I think that she was alluding to a little bit of white privilege in the scene, which it does exist. It'd be crazy to say that white privilege doesn't exist in our culture, But also I think Zizi's issue was more so with the artist and not really Amelia. Do you get me? She was thinking in her head it would be good if these artists support blah 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 and do this or whatever, But where I feel that she was a bit misinformed is that they do. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There are a lot of artists out there that do support some of the grassroots channels, and I think that when you're comparing with the Amelia thing, when you're using a chicken shop date as an example of something, in my opinion, you have to use the equivalency of something else that isn't being supported. So another platform that has been lasted that long, and use that as why is no one going over there? Yeah. Because ultimately the chicken shop is not grassroots. She's been doing her thing for years. Yeah, for time. Yeah, she's been doing her thing for years. So the equivalency of using something like someone who's just started to film or whatever is not really the same. And the thing is, just like a lot of people, just like us, when we started doing this thing, getting a guest was a myth. Yeah. An absolute myth.
That's the thing. One wanted to come down to numbers as well, isn't it? It's down to them kind of things are down to numbers as well. She gets numbers in. Obviously, people, it's not just because necessarily she's white, she's a white girl. It's because the numbers are there. Massive. Man are trying to build their profile and build by whatever they got to promote or whatever the situation is. That's why they're going on there. If it was a black girl that got those numbers, the same numbers she was getting on the same platform, then they will go that way. But this is like what you said. It's a thing of misinformed, isn't it? There is artists that have gone on black girls things, which obviously maybe Zizi
wasn't aware of.
But do you know what it is? I feel like it's not just, it is black women as well as black men, but it's women in the industry. They don't get enough recognition. I feel like why are we looking at colour? Why can't Kiki Zizi.
yeah.
Sorry, I was listening to Drake earlier.
Okay.
Zizi.
Yeah, go on.
Why can't her and Amelia link up and do something sick together? Like, it's a platform for, I think it benefits the artists, and we need to look at that rather than, because she's white. Do you know what I mean? It's helping the black artists.
Yeah, but the thing is though, what I will say is that white privilege does exist. So what I'm saying is, Zizi's not wrong in that sense.
Yeah.
She's not wrong in that sense. She's right in that sense. Yeah. But I think that maybe in this situation, just this one, that I don't, in my opinion, that I don't feel that it was too much of a race issue with Amelia because of, one, she has been doing this thing for God knows. And maybe you could use an angle. Maybe you could. I just think that Zizi didn't use the right angle to highlight what that actually was. Do you get me?
I just hate the race. Like, even though it's there, I feel like the race thing brought up in all these discussions.
Well, this is another thing.
All it does is just basically carry on the same thing happening.
Yeah.
Because it's always if as soon as race is brought up in any conversation, that takes over the conversation. The message behind it, or whatever you was trying to say,
gets lost.
It's gone.
Of course,
it's gone
but
forever.
You know what though? What I will say is as well, because I don't want this to be lost. Yeah, is that at the same time, like, we don't know what it's like to be a black woman. Trying to think. Like, I know as a black man how difficult it is just as a black man. So as a black woman, it's extra difficult, and I think that with it being extra difficult, sometimes some things are a little bit more sensitive. And do you know what the reality is, yeah? True. Sometimes you're going to get things right. Sometimes they're going to call things and say, white privilege and whatever, blah, 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 and race this and race that. But also sometimes they're going to get things wrong. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying?
But did she like say, did she put out something to be like, I'm not directing this at Amelia?
That she wasn't saying
that. I'm not directing it at you. I'm just saying.
Well, she didn't.
That's where my issue then comes into play with the whole thing. Because
she name checked. She said Amelia. Well, she said the chicken shop there. Yeah. But ultimately, the message wasn't really about. When I watched it, I straight away got that she wasn't having a shot at her.
Yeah.
I straight away got that she was talking to the artist, and I felt like through what I've seen, from what I've seen, like, it's a little bit misinformed. You get what I'm saying? Like, I've seen enough artists, like, you know what I mean, supporting grassroots things and whatever. Yeah. Maybe, like, I wouldn't say that I've seen a whole load support, like, loads of, like, black women channels and stuff like that. But do you know what? To be totally honest with you, I don't know that many. The ones that I do know, I see man on. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? And I see artists talking to or whatnot. And I 100% understand why Giggs in particular felt some type of way with that, because I don't know whether it's a conscious or subconscious thing or whatever, but he does do a whole load of supporting. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? He came here when we didn't have much artists coming here. And the moment that he came here, bro, if you saw the amount of messages of people that wanted to come since he came, like, it helped it a lot. And he does that, like, you know what I mean? With, like, I think he's a vibes person, innit? Yeah. So maybe...
Well, he said it in one of the videos that he said someone stopped him when he was in the petrol station. And he went,
but there is an issue.
We forget though that everyone is entitled to their opinion. It's just sometimes it gets lost in translation. It just seems like you're just moaning. So we have to go away. We have to go around that and try and put what we want to say out there in a different way. You know, we have to work harder. Unfortunately, it is harder for black people, but it's just we have to work harder for ourselves, if anything, not for anyone else.
And sometimes that's an unfortunate thing, but sometimes also as well, the reality is that, like, you're not necessarily going to get the same look that someone else would get. This is my thing though, what you said, which I think is really true, and this is just through some people that I've had a conversation with, is that I feel that sometimes, when someone is so hell-bent on a injustice, when someone's so hell-bent on an injustice, when you're having a conversation with them, it's almost like they're waiting for you to trip up to say something that proves everything that is going on in their mind. Do you get me? So, for example, I know a feminist, like, who is, like, very hell-bent on injustice and equality and all of this type of stuff. And, like, we'll be having a conversation and it's like, this person is not actually listening to me to have a conversation.
They're listening to you to say something wrong. They're just waiting for you to say something wrong so they can be like, this is what I'm talking about.
So it fits the narrative. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, they're waiting for a buzzword. Like, any buzzword, And then as soon as the buzzword comes up, boom,
Boom. Yeah.
this is everything. See what I'm saying?
That's
You're
why I
a
can't talk-
misogynist.
that's why I can't
You're
talk to
this.
certain
Forget that those people, they literally just try and drain. We call them energy vampires. They will drain your energy. Like, there's no point in having a conversation with them because they don't want to hear your side. They just want to say what's on their mind.
Yeah, I just think that we're in a place now where like every single thing, everything is a race or a gender.
Or a something.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
always
it's
it's a
always
something.
something.
Yeah,
Over
yeah.
the last 30 years or however old we are, yeah, we would have acquired like so much bias, and we will slowly begin to become a particular person, yeah?
Yeah.
And we'll gravitate towards that person, and we'll make sure that every argument we have, we are protecting that person that we've become. So that's why when people are oversensitive about certain things that are deeply flipping important to them,
Yeah.
it comes across quite aggressive. Like you've seen how people go on about either like homosexuality or about black women inequality or about this and injustice here and like whatever it is you tend to fight that corner and you fight it hard. And
But
like, it creates a
Passion.
Like, yeah.
Of course. But what I will say is as well, yeah, firstly, the one thing that I will say that I think like Giggs did that was wrong was calling her a bully. Like, I don't think he should have called her a bully. I feel like Zizi just gave her opinion. Do you get me? And like her opinion, in my opinion, she didn't seem like she was coming at. It didn't seem like it come from a bullying place.
Yeah,
and I know that
I
she
didn't see the
is
original
very
thing, so I can't
opinionated,
even-
like
I can't
myself or
even say
whatever. But I didn't see her as bullying. Do you get what I'm
People
saying?
Think
It
about
was
that.
a
That
bit
might
too
just be
to say
that might just be her history though as well. Obviously.
Yeah,
I know
I hate
Zizi for a
that.
while.
Yeah,
Obviously,
true, I
I know
hear
her for
People
years.
just assume that you're like just this loud bully because you've got an opinion, but really, like, I mean, I do feel
That
a
just
bit
might be
sorry
because
for
she's
her.
getting she's been getting on artists for ages.
Yeah.
She's got a
But
good
she
platform
does-
herself.
This is the thing, yeah. This is one thing that I will give her too, though, because she does get on art. She does get on artists, and I do think that she's misinformed a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But she does big up artists though as well when she feels that they are doing something good or whatnot. She does, and also I just think that, like, to be honest with you, I sympathise with her in a sense that, like, bro, I come here, yeah, and I have conversations with you, man, about music and all of that stuff, and I'll tell you straight, I don't come here and claim to know everything. I don't come here. Sometimes, you know, I'd actually rather not ring the source so that I can come and have a debate about it
something.
and then ring and find out exactly what happened afterwards,
Yeah.
and then talk about it afterwards. Like, I have a privilege in a sense that I know enough artists, yeah. So certain things that are happening or whatnot, I can call an artist and say, "What's going on with blah 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 or this, that, and the other." But you know what? Sometimes I'd rather not. Because I'd rather have a conversation from the fan perspective, and then afterwards I might ring and say, "Yo, what's going on?" Because you know what? Sometimes I might ring the artist or the person in question, and they might tell me exactly what's going on, and they might tell me at the end of it, "But you can't speak about it, though." Now you're putting me in a situation. I got to come in now and I can't speak
can't
about
say
nothing because
nothing,
of.
yeah.
Do you get me?
Even if someone's saying something wrong that you
Yeah.
know is right.
But yeah, I just don't think that he should have. I don't think that he should have called her a bully. Though I thought that was a lot. And I will say this as well. Yeah, this is not aimed at Giggs at all. Yeah, but what he did do was good. Like, he came to her defense a bit. I mean, his offense or whatever. And I'm not saying Giggs. I don't want. You know what I mean? I'm just saying in general. Like, I hope, yeah, that like in the future, man, them keep the same energy when it seems like a black girl's being attacked, and we go out and we say, hold on a minute, nah, man can't just disrespect this girl or whatever. Because the reality is, this is not me, I didn't make this up, I'm just going by conversations I've had with people, is that enough girls, black girls, feel like man them are not sticking up for them in situations like this.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
But you know, see, but this is where I'm on the fence with these things, because I'm just like, this is where it's like, it shouldn't be because she's a black girl, you should stick up for her. It should be because she, like Amelia, like, he didn't stick up for her because she was a white girl. He stuck up for her because he knows her and he knows the graft that she's been
Yeah.
through. He knows that she's a cool girl or whatever the situation is. So that's why he's like, no, I'm not gonna allow someone to like do that. And that's how he should. That energy should with another female who is also showing you that kind of vibe.
Of course.
You get me? There's some black, white, orange, whatever it is. There's some people that don't necessarily shouldn't be stuck up for because they kind of put things on themselves.
Yeah, of course.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the only thing where it's like, it's very touchy. Like,
Yeah, I
I
think
feel
I
like
would
it's
agree with
always, sometimes it's always part there like, you should stick up if a black woman does this, if a black guy does this, whatever, like, and as I say, I'm not just women, like men as well.
Yeah, of
like,
course.
it's not always that someone should be stuck up for. Sometimes you should be like, no.
I think you should stick up for what is fair.
Yeah, this was exactly, that's what it is. It's what's fair.
I think you should stick up for what is fair. My thing is, bro, I've always been on this equality thing, yeah. But see, with this equality thing, which I have to let some people know, is that because some people say, yeah, I fight for equality or whatever, but which is great. But just understand that the equality might go against you. Yeah. So we can't pick and choose now. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, sometimes when we talk about equality, yeah, sometimes equality might come down to like a batch of people who are sick at something, and you're looking at who you think is sick at something, yeah, and not just picking somebody just because of their gender or their race or whatever it is. Yeah. So sometimes that might mean that, you know what, you didn't get picked.
Women have
it wasn't you.
But
and then you still got to stick. You got to keep the same energy, because either we're gonna do it, or either we're gonna do the equality thing, or we're not gonna.
You're not gonna do it at all.
And then if we're not gonna do it, then we have a different conversation.
You gotta be able to hold that. You gotta be able to be like, you can understand why I wouldn't be picked to whatever, because I've done this in the past, and that's something that if it was the other way around, I would say, yeah, this person shouldn't be picked as well. Do you get what I'm saying? It's definitely something that it has to be held all the way through. Otherwise, yeah, there's no point doing it. That's what I say. It's just the subject is always like too focused on a specific thing like that, like colour, like race, religion, or whatever it is, when it's like, it shouldn't be because of that. It should be because of the actual essence of this person or what it stands for.
Women have it harder, I feel, in the industry, definitely. I mean, me as a grime MC, like, it's hard. The guys don't want to acknowledge you. Like, I mean, I've just put out an EP, Matters on the Block.
I ain't heard the EP, but I saw the Theresa May thing, whatever, and that's sick.
Thank you. I feel I'm really working hard, and it's okay. I'm not even gonna get I'm not gonna start feeling a way about it, because I know when it's my time, it will come. But it would just be nice for the women to be acknowledged. And there's so many men on one set, and so many men booked for one rave, and there's not even one female. Why? We're doing just as much as the men, if not better, and we still don't get the respect that we deserve.
Sometimes obviously I agree with that in some senses, and I can't tell you how you should and shouldn't feel. But sometimes what I will say is, I'm not saying this is all in every case, but there are some times where if it is picked on based on who's just sick, there might be a couple of times where it just so happens to be that somebody falls short. Do you get me? Yeah. And I'm not mad at that if it's done if it's done with a pure and organic and righteous outlook. Yeah. Do you get me? Of course, I'd like a mixture of whatnot, but at the same time, I just want someone sick. But at the same time, you lot are sick. This is why I think time ago, I can't remember who I was having a debate with here, but I was saying, I just thought about it the other day. Man, them don't talk about Lady Leisha enough.
She's so sick,
Lady Leisha spinning, she spun, man, bare times. And we don't actually look at her. So, I was pissed off that they had Lady Leisha on the fucking, what stage did they have her on? At Wireless.
She deserves to be on the main.
How the hell can Lady Leisha be in Australia on big stage and touring America and doing shows all over the country, and she's on a Smirnoff stage?
There's definitely certain things like that where it's like,
that's mad to me.
We're in a day and age. Back in the day, it was too hard it was already hard enough, definitely in the urban black, definitely as a black man or whatever, probably back in the day it was harder for you to be like, I'm going to try bring through a woman, definitely a black woman, onto it, because it was already hard enough for you to be there. Yeah. So you know that it was only, I could only really bring through probably another guy that is like me or whatever. Now we're in a place where it's 100%, it's a lot easier for us to bring which are male driven, the things that are male driven, it's probably, we need to make a more conscious decision to be like, you know what, I know this guy might be better than her, or I might think this guy's better than her, but you know what, let me bring her. In those instances, I think it's like a thing of, then it should be, because we now have a chance to do that, to bring through more women without it being such an issue. Do you get what I mean? But it's just, again, it kind of crosses the lines of, is that then you're kind of bending the rules of an equality thing, because now you're choosing a woman over someone who you think is better. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying?
Why can't there be both?
Because sometimes there's just not enough space. Sometimes there's
so much space for everyone
sometimes
to
there's just
win.
not enough space.
Trust me, there is. But
there's a space for there's a space for everyone to win. Don't get me twisted. Don't get twisted. But
there is a space
it's
for everyone to win.
sometimes someone has to wait.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
But that's the thing. Like, no, it shouldn't.
Someone
be like,
has to
it
wait.
shouldn't be like that, but unfortunately it is. But why? There's so many people. Everyone's listening to music. Music bloody makes the world go round. Do you know what I mean? Like, why can't there be loads of us together? Maybe it's a little dream. I don't know in my head. But
No. Do you know what? You're right. And do you know the thing is, yeah, I think that there's gonna be some people out there that are gonna twist your words.
Yeah,
and
this is
you're
what I'm saying. That's why I'm not trying to.
they're
I'm
gonna
trying
twist your
to
words.
say it in a way.
It's
that
not
is-
like correct me if I'm right on
man.
what you're saying here. It's not. You're not saying that the woman per se has to wait.
No,
but
no,
if
no,
you're
no,
talking
no.
of like if you're
I'm saying-
if you're looking at the ability, yeah, and like maybe like the attract. Let's just say for example you're putting together an event, yeah. So you're looking at all of the artists out there that you feel you got a certain amount of budget or whatever, and you're looking at artists that you think can attract a crowd at this particular place, yeah, at this particular place. There might be some times where it's like, they're like, you know what, this artist, that artist, this artist, and that artist are gonna 100% draw me big numbers.
Yeah.
I rate this person who's the girl,
Yeah.
yeah, and she is good, but I need the numbers, so I'm gonna go for this because the numbers are gonna get me that, which then means that, unfortunately, it's not because of your gender. It's not because of your gender. It's because in this scenario, the numbers are gonna give me this, and the number. If I change it just for the sake of equality's sake and to please other people, it might dent my pocket.
Yeah, but the women are not given the opportunities to prove themselves.
That's what I said. That's what I said. It then starts to become this circle because then you're just like, you're not going to put them on because you need this, but then it's just, then they cut, but then they'll never get to that because you didn't put them on here.
Course.
That's what I said. Like,
building up their
that's-
fan bases
could you
every
elaborate on
time
that?
they do shows. Like,
Elaborate
every
on
time they get more fans, and women are not even getting a chance to get on the stage. And like, I always fuck up a show, always, literally. Like, the crowd love me.
What?
And I know that these guys, oh man, can't.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
No, I fully hear you.
That's why I say That's why I say
Fully
sometimes I feel like, although I'm saying the equality thing needs to be held all the way through, sometimes I think women should be maybe given the push further just because she's a woman.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, she should be pushed through because we can do that now.
Yeah.
Like, we've got the ability to do that without people
That's the
being getting onto
diversity
us.
issue. That's
Do you
the
get what I'm saying?
diversity issue, yeah.
And then obviously, and that's what I said, it breaks the equality thing of, oh yeah, but what if you think he's better than her?
Yeah.
So, but you're pushing her through. But then I think it's about time, innit?
Yeah.
Like, if the balance now is, the balance was always there.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, cool. Maybe the person you think with more ability has to hold the L.
And
Like,
women
has
are
to hold the L
sexy.
now.
Huh?
Women are sexy. Like, just bring through some more women.
No,
Let's just
I
make
feel like
everything-
it's starting to happen.
thing.
I feel like it's
It's
starting to
definitely,
happen
yeah.
now. I feel like it's starting to happen
It's
now.
still I think it's still a
Dan's
long-
right in a sense that it is male dominated.
I
There's
think it, just in
there's still
general,
more.
especially, do you know what it is? It will be slightly different if you were a singer, because we are used to the idea of female singers, very used to it. Whereas in the history of grime, there is actually still only a handful of female grime artists, rappers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, or for every female, there's probably 20. What am I spitting? 20 male artists. You know what I'm saying? So, because the pendulum always swings in favor of the male, it just
Because it's
will
quite
happen that-
intimidating, but I get a rush from it.
Yeah,
Just
of
because I
course.
know that everyone will look at me and think, oh, she can't do this.
Do you feel like
That's
you
what
got
they
to go
used to think.
harder, like? Cause
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been good for me though, because at first I was really rubbish, but if nobody told me that how shit I was, and I would have never gone and worked on myself to be better. I mean, I still don't think I'm the best, but I know like I have the potential, and I think that's important.
yeah, I heard that song. I'm not even just telling you because if I didn't like it or if I thought the song was shit, I just wouldn't say nothing.
Yeah.
Unless you asked me my opinion, then I would tell you that yeah, it wasn't for me or whatever. I have no problems doing that. But I saw it and I actually thought it was good.
That was
I
Shan
saw
Brown
it.
directed that.
Oh, okay, sick.
Yeah.
And I see JME retweet it or something.
Yeah.
I think
That was nice.
yeah,
That
of
actually
course.
made me happy.
I think the awareness just needs to be like, I think there needs to be more awareness to it.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's probably maybe ZZ's point, which then gets lost. Obviously, this is the thing, when you champion so much other things, Gigs is gonna then think, okay, yeah, she's just doing the same thing she was doing with this. Where, like what you said,
Of course.
if she
It was
if
an
she didn't-
accumulation of
yeah,
stuff.
exactly. It starts
Because
to
I think they had a
accumulate.
tweet. They was going back and forth,
And then it
like
starts to
in-
become a thing where you're like, well, this is the girl that always is getting onto man for doing this and blah, blah,
'cause
blah.
You know what? That's funny you say
Do you get
that.
what I'm
'Cause they
saying?
were going back and forth. I think on messages on that. Yeah, and Giggs did mention a couple of things. Do you get me? And I think he just probably had enough.
That's what I say. That's what I say. When you've got, I know it's her platform, and she's kind of that. She's that edgy. Her platform is the whole edgy character and really putting her opinion out there. But then you see, sometimes it messes you up in the long run when you have got something to say which you're not necessarily being edgy about, and then it messes you up when later on down the line for stuff like this.
Of course.
But
yeah,
good
nah,
promo, innit?
yeah, nah. I fully hear that still. But I think also that like, I'm not gonna take away from the fact that like, there's substance to both of what both of them said.
Yeah,
you get me? And I understand 100% why Giggs felt some type of way for him personally. But sometimes, you know, like when somebody does something, yeah, even though you're right, I think that it was an accumulation of a bunch of things or whatever. But sometimes when someone is addressing an issue about something, yeah, maybe it's not you. Like, you know what you've done or whatever. Sometimes some people, so for example, someone might say, oh, like the way people treat black women or gays or whatever, and then they go off, or even feminists when they talk about like men and blah, 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 whatnot, yeah. When they're having these conversations, you don't feel offended. I don't think it doesn't offend me.
Yeah,
because I don't feel like they're talking to me.
You know what you do,
Do you get what I'm saying? I don't feel, the only time I start feeling offended is when I was saying before, like, it's not even about being offended, but it's like I'm having a conversation with someone and you're not listening to me. You're just waiting for a buzzword. Yeah. That's when I get pissed off. But other than that, I don't like when someone addresses something. I don't feel that they're talking to me. I just think that sometimes you have to listen, because there might be something in there that like we didn't think of, that someone's experiencing that we just didn't particularly know. But what I will say on top of that is, in this case here, not Amelia, because she's actually just good. She's actually very good, and I like watching her thing. I think it's sick. And do you know what as well? Yeah, some artists are good for certain things, and some artists are just not good for certain things. So, for example, like I expect Heady One at the chicken shop to be funny and amusing to some degree.
Shy.
Of course, but I don't expect, and no offense, I don't expect to have a great podcast with Heady One here. Because I don't feel that like he's at that stage where he would open up about certain things and have a. So I wouldn't particularly expect him to come and check me anyway, unless he messaged me or rang me one day and said, "Rah, I want to address this, or I want to talk about that, or whatever it is." Some people are just good for certain things. Yeah. So I think when you've got a platform, right, and it involves having guests, sometimes you look at like who you think would be good for your thing, and maybe sometimes you might need to start off a little bit lower and say, all right, cool, I'm going to bring this like up and coming person or whatever who would be dying to come on and have an interesting conversation about something. And then the more that you just get one day, one thing happens and everything changes. And then boom, do you get me? Again, just using Giggs' name again, I was lying in bed, I get a phone call, Giggs wants to come here, he came, sat down, and then that changed a lot of things. It changed a lot of things. So it's like, you just keep working and one day you're going to have something that's going to, you know what I mean?
Just keep faith, guys.
Yeah. And like, you know what? Not everything race, not everything gender, and not everything like something.
Yeah, man. Just give it a rest. Especially on Twitter.
It just gets so tiring.
Twitter's mad. Oh my God. I know.
There was a debate about melons and mangoes today.
Oh my God.
How is that? Why?
I used to be mad on Twitter, but literally, I can't anymore. I can't even like scroll down and read people's tweets because everyone's talking shit.
Yeah, and everyone's retweeting.
Twitter has
Have you noticed that Twitter has just turned? I don't know, maybe it's my timeline, but it's just turned into one big retweet.
Yeah, it's a big retweet. That's all it is. Yeah.
Dog shit.
Twitter is basically just become who can say something that will get the biggest retweet. Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, like mad. Who's got the funniest pants? Like who's the
most controversial?
Something. Yeah, that's what it is. It's not like how Twitter was back in the day. We just woke up. Can't wait to eat this. Going here today. No. There's no normal tweet anymore.
Yeah,
It has to
exactly.
be you. Your tweet has to have some edge.
And it's exactly.
It has to have some edge.
Yeah,
If
and
it
it's
doesn't,
or it's like some political thing.
Yeah, if it
There's gotta
doesn't
be
have
some
an
type of
edge.
political vibe to it. Do you get what I'm saying? I've noticed the most recent one. My body's not a political playground. I've seen that a lot. My body is not a political. Do you know what the thing is? You're right. Your body isn't a political playground. But you see half the people that's saying that, yeah? If I sat them down and asked them, elaborate on that, they don't even know what the fuck that is. They've heard someone say
They've heard someone say
You know,
it.
like,
Yeah,
it sounds
yeah, yeah.
amazing.
It sounds
like, my
cold.
body is not a political playground. It sounds amazing.
You hear someone say, you think, raw.
Political playground. I might use that one.